Hello, everybody. What if the stranger following you on an empty road wasn't a stranger at all, but you? Welcome to Alex's Story Time, and I am Alex. Everyone, this story is called The Mountain Path, and it is told in the first person. But this is not my story. Here is the story. I came across a blogger on Xiaohongshu who complained about being misled by the navigation Chongqing. This reminded me of an experience I had in Chongqing a few years ago. I can't remember the exact location, but it should have been near Chongqing because I had come to Chongqing for a shoot, and the photographer had arranged to meet someone for some snacks. So, at that time, I was alone. Under the pretext of scouting locations, I wandered around, browsing an app called Dianping, a popular local business rating platform. Along the way, it is for recommended food and drinks. Whenever I saw something I wanted to eat, I would go and buy it. Then, near 18, it means 18 steps, I came across a bubble tea shop I had never tried before. At that time, milky lemon tea had not yet become popular nationwide, but they already had it. Saying that their cups were full of ice, I was tempted immediately. According to the navigation, the shop was on the next level down from where I was. Knowing that navigation Chongqing is not always reliable, Chongqing is a famous mountainous city. I decided to find my way there by myself, since the distance shown on the navigation was only a little over 400 meters. I guessed it was a straight line distance. I thought that as long as I could find a staircase going down, I would definitely get there within 10 minutes. It was very hot that day. When I went to Chongqing in the summer, the senior employees in the company were unwilling to come. They all went to northern cities, living in the cities with temperature about 35 degrees Celsius for us newcomers. It is 95 Fahrenheit. Standing on a mountain path, I felt dizzy and confused under the scorching sun. I couldn't understand how Chongqing managed to have so many trees along the mountain path, with cicadas chirping loudly and making my head ache. By that time, I already felt that if I didn't get a cold bubble tea soon, I would faint from the heat. So I walked very quickly, constantly looking for the stairs. However, things did not go as smoothly as I had hoped. According to the navigation, I found a mountain path leading down, but it was blocked off. The area around 18 had become a popular internet celebrity spot in recent years and was undergoing overall renovation. So, the original path leading down was temporarily closed, supposedly for the installation of some night lighting. I was completely baffled at that moment. The destination was right in front of me, but there was no way down. It seemed absurd. Undeterred, I believed there must be another path nearby. After all, there were still residents living here. I couldn't believe they didn't need to use these staircases in their daily lives. The delicious bubble tea continued to tempt me. I stubbornly kept walking forward. Soon, not far from the blocked mountain path, I saw another narrow path. The path was very narrow, with houses on both sides. It was probably too narrow for two people to walk side by side. Since it was such a hot day, no one in their right mind would be wandering around in the afternoon like me. So, at around 1 in the afternoon, there wasn't another person on the entire path except me. The stone slabs on the ground were shining from the heat of the sun. Looking back, I realized I was not thinking clearly at that time. After all, I am someone who usually pays close attention to the navigation. I had been following the map all along, and there was no such path on it. But the scorching heat of 36 degrees Celsius had completely evaporated my intelligence. Without any hesitation, I began to walk down this path. I believed that it would definitely lead to the next level. There were no trees on the other side of the path, and the sun shone directly down from above. I could feel the sweat soaking my back as I held my umbrella. My steps quickened. However, the path seemed to turn just when I thought it was about to reach the end. And then there would be another stretch of nothing but reflective stone slabs. This pattern repeated itself, as if I was walking down the mountain in a zigzag pattern. I have always had a poor sense of space, so it wasn't until I had turned 3 such corners that I finally felt something was amiss. I checked my navigation again and realized that I was not even on a proper path. The little blue dot representing my location was flickering near some greenery, as if the phone thought I was standing somewhere in the mountains. However, when one is extremely hot and agitated, fear is the last thing on their mind. At that time, I just felt annoyed. If I were to turn back, I would have to climb all those steps again. So, without hesitation, I chose to keep going, thinking that no matter what, this path must have an end. I could at least get to the bottom of the mountain. Once I reached the main road, if necessary, I could just take a taxi back to the hotel. With this thought in mind, I continued walking for another 5 minutes or so, but the stone path showed no sign of ending. The uncomfortable low steps continued, and I was sweating profusely. Finally, I reached my breaking point. I stopped at a corner. I couldn't help but think there was not a single person on this path. Could it mean that the end of this path might be a dead end? Since the locals knew this, they would avoid walking here. As soon as this thought crossed my mind, my heart sank. After all, I hadn't heard any car sound or voices so far. In my opinion, the mountain path I had taken earlier wasn't that high. I had been walking for so long that I felt like the distance I had descended should have taken me directly to the subway station. It was only then that I first considered turning back. I took a break and then turned around at the corner. At that very moment, I saw someone holding an umbrella standing still at the narrow corner about 10 meters away at the end of the stone path. I was taken aback. I didn't expect there to be another fool like me. I wanted to wait for him to come closer and warn him that the path ahead might be blocked. But as soon as I started climbing back up, the figure disappeared around the corner ahead, as if he had also realized something was wrong and decided to turn back. Could it be because he saw me turning around? Feeling like I had been used as a guinea pig, I was both annoyed and amused. I struggled to climb up a bit and reached another corner. I stopped to rest, and then, when I looked up again, I saw that person with the umbrella had also stopped at the corner ahead, seemingly taking a break as well. Did he have the same poor stamina as me? I squinted, trying to see the person under the scorching sun, but the distance was too great. He had half his body hidden behind the corner, and from my position, all I could see was that, like me, was holding a black umbrella. A black umbrella. In the sweltering heat, I suddenly paused for a moment, recalling that my umbrella was actually a defective one. One of its 8 corners was loose, and I had planned to discard it when I left Chongqing. Did the person ahead also have an umbrella with a missing corner? For some reason, I had a very strange thought. I stared intently at the figure hidden behind the umbrella in the distance, and the more I looked, the more I felt that his umbrella was identical to mine, damaged in the same way. That person was holding an umbrella just like mine. Now, for the first time in a sweltering heat, I felt a chill. To test my idea, I hesitated and put down my umbrella. As the scorching sun beat down on my skin, I kept my eyes on the distant figure. He did not move, still holding the umbrella with his back to me. He neither moved forward nor turned around. Perhaps he was just someone resting on the road like me. I tried to reassure myself not to overthink it and continued to walk upward. Sure enough, as soon as I moved, the figure ahead also started to move. He always kept a straight path between us, so I could only catch a glimpse of his half back with the umbrella when we were at the corners. Was it a coincidence? Why did this person always stop when I stopped and move as soon as I did? The more I thought about it, the more uneasy I felt. Finally, I couldn't bear it anymore and quickened my pace to catch up. However, as I had expected, the distance between us never shortened until I could faintly hear the sounds of people on the road I had come from. His figure, with the umbrella, still stood upright at the last corner. If I continued to chase, there would be no more turns once I reached the mountain road. Where could he possibly go? As soon as I thought of this, my heart began to race. I took a step forward cautiously, and in an instant the figure disappeared around the corner. I knew for certain that the mountain road was just ahead, so I quickened my pace. However, when I passed the corner and ran back onto the road I had come from, no matter how I looked around, I couldn't see anyone holding an umbrella. Where did he go? I panted heavily and glanced back at the narrow path instinctively. But there was nothing there, only a small patch of shadow lingering at a distant corner. From afar, I couldn't tell if it was a person or just a shadow cast by the wall. After this experience, I lost all interest in drinking bubble tea. I took a taxi back to the hotel immediately, and I didn't continue my sightseeing in Chongqing. Several years have passed since this incident, and to this day, I still don't know what was at the end of that narrow path, or who that figure was. After returning from Chongqing, I discussed this with a few friends, and they all mentioned one thing in common. When that thing was within my line of sight, it was always ahead of me. But what if I hadn't seen him? If I had been determined to keep going down the path, would he have stayed behind me the whole time? Or would he have kept his distance? At the end of the path, when I finally had to turn back, would he still be waiting 10 meters away? Honestly, every time I think about these questions, I feel a chill down my spine. That's why I sincerely advise anyone going to unfamiliar places, even if you don't trust the navigation, never take a path that is not on the map. A road that seems deserted may not actually be empty. Okay, everybody, this is the end of the story. Please share what you think of this story and your stories. If you enjoy my work and would like to help me continue to bring these stories to you, please subscribe to my channel or like my page. Give a thumbs up to the stories you appreciate and share your thoughts and opinions in the comments. I'd love to read them. Share the stories with anyone who might find them enjoyable. And I need a co-editor, a native English speaker, to make these stories better. Thank you, everybody. This is Alex's Story Time, and I am Alex. I got a lot of good stories to share with you. See you next time. Bye bye, everybody.